Hello, dear ones. Welcome to the Indigo Rose Lounge. I'm your host, Alyce Dylan, and I wanted to touch on technology today. I've gone into this a few times. It was not only in Alone and See Abnormal, but there are podcasts and podcast episodes about this. But I thought it was worth revisiting because it seems to be a topic that's up for the spiritually perceptive community. So the empaths, HSP, intuitives, whatever you identify as, whichever label fits well with you. For me, I'm spiritually perceptive, and though I don't mind the clairvoyant one either. But we can be different clairs, It's not a label that's indelible. So mostly I'm clairvoyant, but the clairnasians comes up. I just had a incident a few days ago where I was sitting outside, and I smelt that incense that my sensei uses. And I knew in that moment, like, hi there. And in that moment, she was thinking of me. And so I can always smell her incense when she does that. I try and stick to the same incense so that my students will also be able to have access to that experience if they have the capacity for it. But we can have any of these clairs, right? Okay. But if we look at the human experience all the way through back as many thousands of years as we have record of, humanity humanity doesn't expand beyond its vision. It doesn't go past what it can see. And you can understand that. I mean, we're not sitting around trying to develop engines we've never imagined to go places we've never thought of going. It's just we we can't create, develop into it beyond our experience. And so that limits humanity. There are those who I believe are also spiritually perceptive and who download big ideas, who develop and create beyond what anyone else has ever imagined. And they change what people can imagine. Just think about this. 200 years ago, the idea that you could pick up a block and push some stuff and speak to someone on the other side of the country was not even fathomable. You wouldn't know. Somebody would be telling sci-fi stories if they said they could do that. And now today, children that are born today know that this is absolutely possible. So the range of human experience, the capacity of humanity is important to understand. That we can't live into what we've never imagined. And bear in mind that we are only perceiving 14% of what's going on around us. So there are layers and layers and layers of things going on around us, but our human perception, sight, the five senses, can only pick up on 14%, they reckon, the White Coast. They say we can only pick up on 14% of what's going on around us. Fine. Those of us who are spiritually perceptive, we can perhaps pick up on maybe another 30% chunk. But if we don't know what to do with that, if we have no interpretation, no way of interpreting what that says, then maybe it's meaningless to us. So technology. Technology is a child of humanity. It is a child of us. It is, you imagine humanity on the top. If you've got the kingdom of mineral and the kingdom of vegetable and then the kingdom of animal. And humanity is at the apex of that, not as a predator, but in terms of development. The human experience harnesses all the animal capacity. And then from here, we also have spiritual perception. So we're at the apex of this arc of development. And if you read my book, you'll know that my belief is that we go through all of those, that we spend time in the mineral kingdom. Our spirit selves, our true eternal selves, spends time in the mineral kingdom, manifesting and harnessing minerals, and then moves into the vegetable kingdom and animals, so on. So here we are in this human experience that's at the apex of that. But still, our capacity for development and exploration within this human experience is based on what we are taught is possible, what we are told is possible. If you look at those who break the Guinness World Records, so there's a world record. It's absolute. You can't lift more than, what is it, 500 kilos or 500 pounds. And then someone comes along and harnesses mentally and a capacity, breaks that record. And then there's a bunch of people lined up to break the record too, because they've seen it can be done and therefore they can do it. And so here's what humanity is dealing with. We're dealing with the limited scope of reality, and we certainly don't know everything that's going on around us. And then we give birth to this thing, technology. Why? Well, because someone had an absolute knowing, and I would guess it's an indigo or someone who's spiritually perceptive. They had a knowing that there must be a way to speak to Granny on the other side of the world. If they knew it to be true, in themselves, they knew this was true. And so they developed a device to make it true. And so the children growing up now know it's true. You can speak to somebody at the other end of the world. And soon we won't need devices. And the same is true for sending emails or sending tangible goods even. Now we know it's possible to send something from here to there in a very short period of time. When the spiritually perceptive take hold of their abilities and start exploring them, who's to say? I mean, if in psychometry you can move a spoon from one end of the table to another, and I don't know if you've ever seen that done, but it's amazing to watch. And there it is. People can do psychometry. Well, what's wrong with sending material goods across space and time and letting them pop out somewhere else? It's something that I think is possible. We just have to grow into it. The technology does that for us. Technology sets the stage. It expands the capacity of human experience. We see it done, we witness it, we experience it, and then it's the essence that stays with us. We don't now then need the form. I truly believe this is the way humankind is heading. Look at AI. AI is accessing a wealth of information, a bunch of bits and bobs and bytes that are scraping up all the information that exists out there and delivering a result. Well, as spiritually perceptive people, we have access to the ultimate AI. We have access to all those who've gone before, who are in the next world, and there's an expert up there on everything. No matter what we want to know, they have the information on it. We can access that information. So really, technology is just a reflection. It's a tangible reflection of what it is essentially within the human capacity to do. But in order to be able to grow into that, this capacity needs to expand so that we can believe it's possible. Only once we believe something is possible can we even do it. So technology, everyone's scared of technology. And there are some reasons. I'm not saying you're not wrong. There's EMF, for one. Horrible stuff. 5G, dreadful. Horrible stuff. There's some people trying to, the shiny bums, trying to control and dominate the world through technology. Absolutely. Not saying any of that's wrong. And we absolutely need to look out for that. But it is a natural step in the enhancement of the capacity of humanity. So rather focusing on all of that dreadful, nightmarish stuff, let's focus on what would technology look like if it was in the hands of the good guys. What would technology be if it was in the hands of people who truly shared positive intent for humanity? What would that do? Remember, as spiritually perceptive souls, our greatest power is seeing the potential of things and helping through that attention to manifest that reality. So let's do that, okay? Will we do that? Can we just reimagine it? Reimagine it. How is technology being abused? How is this being... Okay, forget that. How would it look if it was a good thing? What would the limitations be? How would that be? Spend your mind, time on that rather, because that's in the realm of love. The rest of it's just in fear, and it's not going to serve you or me or any of us. That if we can focus on the best, we can bring it into being. All right? Because we're headed loveward. Love always.